Hello friends, now this video does not concern the 2020 batch of CBSE as well as ICSE students whose exams were suspended because of the lockdown and the coronavirus pandemic. This is about what will happen in the 2020-21 academic year, and this is cutting across all classes from class 1 till class 12. So I urge you to listen to this carefully because this is not about the past, this is about your future. First news point is that the Central Board of Secondary Education, that is CBSE, will announce a reduced syllabus for this academic year as a special case by early July, most likely the first 10 days of July. The process of rationalizing the curriculum is going on right now because the CBSE does realize that despite the conduct of online classes in many schools, time has been lost, significant time has been lost. So they need to cut down on the syllabus, the portion for this academic year 2020-21, so that students are obviously not overburdened. What will be cut, what will remain, you will know in about a month's time. This was announced over the weekend by CBSE chairperson Manoj Ahuja at a webinar which was organized by the Ashoka University on COVID-19's impact on schools and the entire education system. Now, will it be a case of randomly removing chapters from different subjects which are part of your curriculum? No. The focus will be on concepts. That is, a student of a particular class needs to know this much. That's what an idea most scholars have, that a class 6 student needs to know this much, a class 9 student needs to know this much. So as Mr. Ahuja pointed out, the curriculum reforms will be in sync with the learning outcomes. Okay, so this is very important. In simple language, what it essentially means is that the syllabus will retain the core elements, right? But if something has been duplicated in another chapter, or if something can be done as part of your practical class, especially in the science subjects, the practical class in a better manner, that method will be adopted. So it will be a combination of both theory and practicals which will be done. For instance, as far as the ICSE is concerned, one of the reforms that they have introduced is to have the project work in English and mathematics even in class 11 for this academic year. So this is essentially to reduce the marks. Now the exam will not be out of 100, but it will be out of 80, right? Whereas you can do the project work and take care of those 20 marks beforehand itself. Now let's come back to CBSE. Another important point that Mr. Ahuja pointed out during that webinar was that schools will be asked to and encouraged to move away from a rote learning method to a more competency-based education style. Okay, what does this essentially mean? This essentially means that schools will be asked to map a child's understanding and application of the concepts that he understands rather than just imbibing bookish knowledge. Okay, and I think this is needed, and in times of adversity is when there is always an opportunity, and I am glad that the education system and the CBSE in particular is actually using this opportunity to embrace many of these learnings and important changes, because I have found students far too obsessed with what is there in the syllabus, right, rather than understanding. And to my mind, that's a very faulty way of, and a very skewed way of trying to learn a new concept, a new theory, or in subjects like history, civics, trying to understand what happened during this era in a particular place. Which is why I always insisted, if you see my videos, you will always find me insisting that you should treat history like a story, and understanding the politics of, say, World War II, what happened between 1939 and 1945 in the context of the politics even of 2020 and the 21st century, right? If you are able to correlate, right, it becomes that much more easy, and it will help your understanding of modern day geopolitics. The other important thing which obviously students and teachers will be interested in knowing is whether the examination pattern will change. Yes, from the next year, that is 2021, the class 10 CBSE board examinations will include 20% case-based questions, right? Which will have real life connections, and I think that's very important. In class 12 also, such questions will be 10% of your question paper, and this will cut across all subjects. But obviously, all these kind of reforms will have to be done not just in sync with the schools, because obviously the CBSE schools will fall in line and implement what the CBSE asks them to do. But it also has to be in some kind of sync with higher education institutions, because the colleges where students after passing class 12 go to, so they have also to be in sync with these reforms that the CBSE is planning to introduce. Also coaching institutions, because coaching institutions also follow a particular pattern of teaching, so they also need to be in sync with what the CBSE and the NCERT is trying to do. Already the HRD ministry, and I'm sure you know about this, has come up with an alternative calendar for different rates of learning during the entire lockdown period. Now, is there some kind of percentage by which the curriculum will be reduced? Because that's another kind of way of looking at how much of the workload of each student and also the teachers will be reduced in this academic year 2020-21. See, if things get back to normal, 2021-22 will be back to normal, right? But I hope some of these reforms will continue to remain incorporated. I really hope so. So coming back to by how much percentage the curriculum will be reduced. Now CBSE or NCERT has not really spoken in terms of exact percentage, because it could obviously vary from subject to subject, class to class. But Delhi's Education Minister Manish Sisodia, who is also the Deputy Chief Minister of Delhi, has demanded a 30% reduction in the entire syllabus. He said this in a letter that he has written to the Union HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank. But the other part of Manish Sisodia's letter is in fact much more significant beyond this 30% reduction that is demanding. He is pushing for permanent reforms inside schools, the entire school education system, and not just for this academic year, but for the years ahead as well. Now, what Sisodia is suggesting is that emphasis should be on in-depth learning and understanding, and also use this opportunity to introduce many examination reforms. So what he says is that the CBSE should move away, and many parents, students and even teachers would actually support this kind of an idea, that the CBSE should move away from a one-time, high-pressure, high-stakes board examination of class 10 and 12, okay, which obviously mounts a lot of pressure on the students, parents and the teaching community, and instead have a system of continuous evaluation through the year, so that students can be ready to take an online examination whenever they are ready and whenever they want to. Now, this will mean a lot of reform, but Sisodia is suggesting that this is probably the best time to introduce this kind of a reform into the entire school education system. Now, how the CBSE and the NCERT and the various other boards in the country, the ICSE, the state boards do that, we don't know, but this is definitely a suggestion which has been put on the table and should be, in my opinion as an educator, looked at very seriously. Now that the NCERT and the CBSE have taken the lead in terms of reforming the entire curriculum, cutting down the syllabus for this academic year, the same will be done. In fact, I will say should be done by the council which conducts the examination for the ICSE and the ISC schools and different state boards across the country, you know, from Delhi to Punjab to Maharashtra to Telangana to West Bengal to just about every state. Now, there has to be some amount of rationalization of the syllabus to make it more modern and also make it more in sync with the India and the world of today. That's very important. So that students are learning stuff which will be important for them, which will be useful for them when they actually get out of school and go into institutions of higher learning, higher education, and go on to become working professionals as well. Okay, so this is an important video which really looks at the 2020-21 syllabus. I presume once a CBSE announces its reduced syllabus, the other boards will also follow suit. So you need to look at that syllabus carefully on what are the, not just in terms of reduction, but also in terms of what are the different changes introduced and a different orientation and a different outlook to the new curriculum for 2020-21, right? Thank you very much for watching. Do take a serious look whenever the syllabus is put out by the CBSE, and all the best to you. Thank you very much.